Hi, girls. Welcome back to another episode of Girls Like Me. Today, we have a really special episode for you. So, when we did our recap of 2025, my January reset last year was actually one of the best episodes, and you guys really loved it. You were commenting on it, you were obviously listening to it the most. So, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do a similar thing this time. But in a little bit more detail towards that, because you guys know that I'm really big on goal setting, preparing like vision boards, all of those kind of things. But I think there's a little bit of confusion around what does work and what doesn't work. So I thought I would do a step by step of how I'm planning 2026, what the year's been like for me, and just my key tips on really goal setting and what you need to do to make sure that you have the most successful and productivity in 2026. So first of all, the biggest thing that I would say, step one, is going to be to actually reflect on your previous year. So what was working for you? What did you enjoy about it? What did you like? What experiences didn't you like? What do you want to do more of? What ways did you find that you work best? The biggest thing with this is a lot of people actually avoid reflection for their year because they see it as like a shaming activity, like, oh, I didn't complete this. I said I was going to be debt free and I'm not debt free, all of that kind of stuff. It's not to shame you, it's to actually acknowledge what you've actually achieved. And when you do this reflection, I think it's really, really important. So I remember reflecting in 2024 on my 2025 and the things that I was really crap at and really shit at, I tried to put that into 2025 and I found it very, very productive. So what works for me might not work for you, but you can still use it as a guideline to kind of focus that and put it into your 2026. So for example, when I was reflecting last year, I really struggle with my organization in, let's say, DMs, messages, emails, that kind of stuff, because I don't know why, I've just always been a really bad texter, a really bad replier. So in 2025, I created something, and it's all about kind of reframing your mind to make sure that it's like a positive outlook. So rather than sit there and beating myself up like, oh, this friend's messaged me, I've not replied to her for like 4 days, or this has happened, I've not done this. I kind of said to myself that like, I'm so lucky and I'm so fortunate that so many friends, so many people want to get in contact with me. So I called it a famous day. I know it's a bit like weird, but I called it a famous day, and that was my day to kind of just have like a digital digest, get rid of all my DMs, get rid of all my emails, get rid of all my messages, all that kind of declutter, so that when people were messaging me, it would go straight to the top, and then I could like kind of what's the word? Just structure it a little bit more and feel a bit more organized. Like I went from replying to people from like 5 to 7 days, so within like 1 to 2 days this year, and I feel like that's really helped. Also, one thing that I have struggled with is my finances, and that was something that was really key that I wanted to focus on this year. I have paid off quite a lot of debt this year as well, which I'm really, really proud of. So just focusing on what I'm going to do. I still, towards the end of the year, I'll be honest with you, I did kind of fall off a little bit with that. But having those kind of things like, these are key areas where I'm struggling, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's better to acknowledge it and to kind of focus that, reframe your mind. So now I have monthly check-ins. So I make sure that all my direct debits go out on time. I've scheduled all my bills to the first of the month. That kind of stuff really brings like back your power on stuff that you are struggling with. But also, it's a really nice time to reflect on your year. So one thing, when I also watched the Mel Robbins podcast, she basically said, like, look through your camera roll. So over the past few days, I've been scrolling through my camera roll, like, what have I actually done? Where have I traveled? When have I felt my best? When have I looked my best? Times when I felt like I was struggling a bit behind the scenes, what were my pictures like then? Because essentially your camera roll is like a reflection of your life, and I'm someone that if I see something aesthetic or there's family stuff, that I really love to take pictures. So that was something that was really, really good for me. So yeah, that is one thing that I would definitely advise. And also, don't shame yourself, acknowledge it. And then once you have your reflections, I think you'll kind of figure out what you want to stop doing. So that could be like habit-wise. So for me, I've got an obsession, and it's really bad because I bought them today, which is double chocolate chip cookies. So one of my obsessions. Some people are addicted to drugs. I'm addicted to sugar and chocolate. So yeah, that is one thing of a bad habit that I do want to stop this year, because in 2026, I do want my body percentage, my fat body percentage, or body percentage fat, you get the vibe, to decrease. So really focusing on those things of like healthier options and stuff like that. So yeah, it will kind of give you a rough idea of what you don't want to be doing and kind of pick up the habits and the goals of what you do want to be doing. So that's step one. Step two is kind of understanding where you are going. So this is really key. Whenever you're setting goals, you need to really have it in your mind of like, what's the destination or what's the bigger goal or what's kind of happening here. And this is, I feel like, the area where people kind of struggle and get caught up. So what you need to understand is that a goal is an aim or desired result. So I'll say that again. A goal is an aim or a desired result. So when people say something like, oh, I want to eat healthier, that's not the goal, because that's like a generalized thing. And when you generalize like that, you are 9 times out of 10 not actually going to achieve that goal. But let's say if I was to focus on, so something which has helped me lose weight and stay a size 8 has been meal prepping. So if I was to then say, okay, my goal is to have meal prep once a week and eat home cooked meals 5 times a week, that is a goal because you can actually track it. But I think one thing that is important when you do start to kind of like visualize that kind of goal or whatnot, one of the questions that I ask myself is, if today was in 2027 and it was like the 1st of January 2027, what would make me feel like, oh my God, I've really done that? Like, I'm so happy that I've achieved that. Or, you know, like, what would be the highest wins for you? You can kind of map that out into different areas, but also have a think. Like, one thing that I really love to help me do that is like Pinterest. I will love to go on Pinterest to kind of map it out, all my goals. I will kind of divide up as well, which I'll get into. But the biggest thing is like, what are those bigger goals? And the reason why I say bigger goals is because once you kind of focus on that, it may not be achievable in that year space, but having that end goal in mind. So some of the things that are my bigger goals, or let's say growing this podcast to whatever amount of followers, subscribers, I know that that's probably not going to happen within the next year, and that it's going to take, you know, on average a podcast takes, I think it's 5 to 8 years. So it's being realistic with those goals, but when you have the bigger goal in mind, you can kind of make realistic little goals and yearly goals and then little monthly goals and milestones. So have a look. What do you want to do? So what is it that you want to actually do, career-wise, business-wise, all of that? Who is it that you want to be? So what is the characteristics of this person? What do they look like? You know, all those kind of things. And then how do you want to kind of become that? So they're the kind of 3 things that I would always ask myself. So when I'm always doing my goals as well, I will go into detail. Like, one thing for me this year, I don't know if you've noticed, but I put it on my goals, like even my nails, my hair, my jewelry, like all these little things that I have, they were once on my wish list for myself. So I've always kind of like had that idea of that woman that I want to become. What does she think like? What does she dress like? Really kind of tune into that and kind of visualize that. I think a lot of people, when they make vision boards, obviously you guys know that I am really big on vision boarding, is they kind of get confused and they turn it into like a pretty mood board. Like, we as girls, we've got this idea that it has to be pretty, it has to be aesthetic, it all has to flow, when realistically that's not what it needs to be. It needs to be stuff on your goals list that is achievable, that you really, really want. So for example, if for me personally, what does my desired body look like? Podcast set, this kind of like white theme podcast set was on my vision board for last year. We've kind of achieved that now. We're not full stilly there where I'd want to be, but all those kind of little things, the job that I put on my vision board, I now have. Studying, I've now kind of got that. Like, all those little things you need to put on there, but it needs to be realistic. It doesn't just need to be a pretty mood board, because also when you do set goals and you do start doing your vision board, you kind of give yourself a little dopamine kick. So once you receive that dopamine, it will feel like you've already achieved that goal. So a lot of the people that are setting goals, they will kind of get fixated on, or they'll feel like they've achieved their goal because they've got that dopamine hit, and that's not the same as actually actioning it. So what is the work that you need to do alongside of that? So once you actually come to that that bigger picture and you actually work out what it is that you want your life to look on, Because a lot of the time people have said to me, oh, you know, I'm not sure. I think 2024 was a year for me where I was like, I'm not kind of sure what I want. And also the beginning of 2025, like my whole year has done a bit of a U-turn. But I feel like once you get clear on a certain goal and you really tune in on it, that's when you start to see progress. And that's what's happened for me. So I really, really do advise that you get clear on exactly what it is that you want and how you want to actually live your desired life. Yeah, what I've put here as well is one thing that helps me is I have little folders on my social media. So on TikTok, on Instagram for certain things. So I've got like an interior design folder. I've got like a fitness folder. I've got like a, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like outfits. I've got an outfits folder. I've got like a nails folder. I've got all these little areas of my life. I recently made a marriage folder as well because I've been posting like little people's weddings. Like everyone these days, they turn into an influencer from their wedding shoots. I put marriage on there. But yeah, all those little areas, and I do that throughout the year, and I'll add them to my little folder. So when it comes to this time, I'm kind of thinking about, okay, what is it that it looks like? What is it, you know, that I want to be? And I think also as a girl, when you are creating yourself for that desired look, it's really important to save people that also look like you. So before, I think I was just saving people that had like a nice aesthetic or their clothes or whatnot. But I really started to focus on people that are my skin color, that have my kind of hair, that have my kind of features and my body goals and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really nice to kind of see that. But yeah, that is what I would want to do, and also make it very realistic. Like when you are visualizing and you do your vision board and all of that, vision boards for me are yearly, and I try to make those big goals but also realistic. Like I'm not going to put on my 2026 vision board that I'm going to get a Porsche because I still need to complete my driving right now. Do you get what I mean? Like it's a bit silly, but if I was to put on there, pass my test, got my first car, that's a lot more realistic, even though the bigger goal is for me to have a Porsche. That's my dream car, that kind of stuff. So step 3 is the planning. So I will say, I don't know whether you have got a diary, however you like to plan. You could get out a notepad and pen. Me personally, I really love the Grace Beverly book that she's made. So I use the productivity method. I've actually got the diary for it, and I've got the online diary as well, which is on Notion. I organize my whole life on Notion. I can't live without Notion. So yeah, but you don't essentially have to have that if you haven't got that. I've also created a little worksheet for you guys, which I'll put all these prompts on as well, and the key areas that will just help you, because a lot of you will be sitting here thinking, actually, I haven't got 50-60 pounds to go spend on a diary. I completely understand it. And if I was starting out, that's not something that I would want to do now. Has it benefited me? Yeah. But yeah, you can download my free worksheet on there as well, which will help you girls. Just give you some prompts, key areas, and stuff like that to help you along. But the way that I kind of divide my life on that is, number 1, it's health. Number 2 is career and business. Number 3 is relationships. Number 4 is personal development. Number 5 is finances. And number 6 is attitude and mindset. So they're the 6 areas that I would say you need to focus on. And with each of those, I will have kind of little subcategories. Where people get lost is they will put like 5 to 10 goals. That used to be me. When I looked at like my 2024 version, it had like 10 goals on every single one. Wasn't realistic. This year around 2025, I've ticked off a lot more. I'd probably say like I had 5, and I even think that was too much. Like this year I'm going in with 3 to 2 main goals per one, and I'm getting really clear on exactly what it is that I want. When it comes to stuff like a goal, like I've mentioned, that's a desired result. So you can put the main goal in there. But the biggest thing with your goals is that it has to be measurable. So for you to actually achieve the goal, it has to be measurable. Like I mentioned with the whole a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I want to eat healthier, I want to lose weight. Well, what does that look like on the scale? What does that look like? How I mentioned body fat percentage, it's not even like, oh, before I think I was saying like, I want a bum. I still do want a bum, but it's more like eat a certain amount of protein. That's going to be a goal. Eat 5 times healthy meals a day, like all of those kind of things. Step count, I think I was doing really, really well on my step count. Towards the end of the year, kind of fell off a little bit, but making those goals really attainable and measurable is going to be the biggest thing for you to achieve that. A lot of the ones that people kind of struggle at is personal development and attitude and mindset. So, for example, last year, my attitude and mindset was to get rid of kind of a scarcity mindset that I had. I felt like I didn't really have an abundance mindset in the terms, I think it was attached to my self-worth a little bit in terms of thinking that I am worthy of that amount of money or whatever it is that I'm asking for. So I think getting rid of that scarcity mindset, I kind of forced myself into situations or environments which kind of challenged me a little bit to grow. And I think this year I did really grow as a businesswoman. So in summer, there was actually an opportunity for me to buy this business that I was really kind of passionate about. I really kind of wanted to do. What I offered is what I thought it was worth. So I got it valued by an accountant and all of that. I kind of did all the back work for it. But what they wanted and what someone bought it for was very, it was just way over essentially, because with the same amount of money, I could have essentially bought something else and started it myself. So it wasn't kind of worth it in the end. But I think doing that and also raising the funds for that, I think I had £20,000 within the space of 5 days. Now, for me, that some people might say, like, oh, that's really good. After that, I did start to raise a little bit more investment as well, because people that I told the idea to or went for a bit of like mentor and guidance, they was like, we can give you 10 grand, we can give you 10 grand. But I think the biggest thing for that mindset wise is like before, or old me used to have the mindset like you have to work for money or you have to whatever for money. That's kind of gone now, which is what I'm focusing on, the scarcity, because in my mind it was like, if I see myself as this property developer who's going to be able to raise hundreds of thousands of pounds, then this is just like level 1 and level 0. So I knew if I didn't complete that, then there's probably a likelihood that the bigger goal was never going to be achieved. So that was really key for me. And yeah, I completed that. I did raise the finance. I kind of have opted for a different option, which I'm kind of waiting to hear back on because it's going through like the legal process and everything now. But yeah, and then also personal development, like, do you want to speak? Do you want to do certain stuff? What kind of new experiences do you want to do? Like, something that I'm putting on my vision board for next year is I want to go skydiving. Believe it or not, in 2024, when I started, or actually 2023, I was actually too fat to even go skydiving. Like, to look at that now, that was one of my goals, that I needed to lose weight so that I could actually go and do skydiving. It was me and my friends that went and did that. So yeah, we are going to put that on there. But it's all those kind of like, how do you want to challenge yourself? And I think it's more about like what you want or what you want to look like, because every year that I kind of put myself in new environments where it's like, oh, I feel really uncomfortable, I don't really want to be here, it makes you grow as a person. So I think having that and putting that on there, like, now I want to go speak at events. But I think before, my old mindset used to be I would wait for the opportunities to come to me, whereas now I'm kind of like, I'm actually going to put myself out there and apply and do all of those kind of things. So another one of my goals is that I was saying about brand deals. So like, I want brand deals, and I wasn't actually being consistent because I've not been posting consistently on YouTube. I've not been making personal content. I've not been this. So it's like, when you look at the goal and you do reflect and you set them, is it actually achievable? Are you doing the things that you need to do in order to achieve that goal? The answer was no. Every single area that I've ticked this year has been because I have been working towards those goals. So for example, the end of the year now, I was like, fuck it. I've not got any brand deals. I need to actually email, because I'm like, every single goal that I wrote, I wanted to sleep peacefully at night knowing that I was going to be able to end the year knowing that I still at least tried to make progress towards those goals. So I started emailing companies, and now I think I've got 3 brand deals. So I've got a skincare one, I've got a hair care one. I've got two skincare ones and 1 hair care one. And believe it or not, some of these have came from the platforms that I've been consistent with. So even the curly hair one that I've just got, that's from LinkedIn. I've been more consistent on LinkedIn than I have on TikTok. So it's like those areas that you focus on and put yourself out there a lot more on, they're going to be the areas that grow. So where you focus your energy and time, it is really, really important. But yeah, even like relationships, like I've mentioned, so going back on the health, I've kind of covered that one. Career and business, this is where I kind of really struggled, I'll be honest with you girls. And I feel like a lot of us are going to be struggling with this, because I've never been someone that really wants a job. I'll be honest with you. I just feel like I've never been made for a job. I've always seen myself as this businesswoman. And I kind of sat down with myself this year, and it was like, I want to be someone where my life feels good on the inside. It doesn't just look good on paper. So from the outside, from my social media, what I've been doing, you may have known, obviously, I've had my property management company since I was 21. I'm now 25. Airbnb has been my whole life for the past 4 years. I've grown it, I've managed other people's properties, I've got my own Airbnbs, all of that kind of stuff. But for me, it always didn't sit right with me because I never wanted to actually grow a property management company. And this is where I feel like me learning has kind of stepped into it, because I did it essentially for the money, because I thought that if I did this for the money, it's going to get me to the end goal a lot quicker. And actually what happened is, when I did something for the money rather than because I was passionate about it or because I liked it, there was a few other effects where it was like, I actually, not that I didn't care, I just don't have that burning desire. For example, like when it comes to podcast stuff, I will work until like 1 or 2 a.m. editing or doing what I need to do. For the property stuff, it's like, I can do that tomorrow, or I won't show up. And that's not really what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be. So yeah, I made the decision this year that I was going to scrap property management, and I was going to actually do my goal. So essentially, I've always wanted to get into property development, and I always thought that I wouldn't be able to get into property development, one, because I haven't got the money. So that's always been my biggest thing. I haven't got the money, I haven't got the finances. I really wanted it, but I just don't know how I was going to be able to get there. And this is what I was thinking about, like the whole mindset thing and growing as you go on. So now I was like, do you know what? I'm going to sack it all off because it's not fulfilling me. And essentially, I don't really want to grow it. So what I've done from that now is I put my whole life into ChatGPT. When you're doing this planning and you've got clear on all your goals, put your whole life into ChatGPT. I said, look, I make X amount of money. I'm struggling with this time-wise. I want to grow the podcast. I want to do this. I want to get into property development. I put my whole entire life in ChatGPT, and it wrote me out a plan. It wrote me out a plan basically saying, like, whatever job you go into, it needs to make sure that you are either fulfilling those goals, learning how to do content, learning how to edit, learning how to do all of those things in property, in development, in interior design, all of those things. And believe it or not, guys, I went to someone that I knew for a little bit of advice, and I was like, look, I need some mentorship. I'm thinking about getting rid of some of the Airbnb units. I don't really know what to do because this is the end goal. Turns out they actually decided to give me a job and hire me, and the specific role that they wanted me for kind of tunes into all of that. So it's got a bit of social media in, it's got a bit of development in, it's got the interior design side, it's got absolutely everything. So it's like when you kind of get clear on what it is that you want, those kind of opportunities will start flowing to you and coming to you. And I was really shocked with that, because everything on my vision board now and all the goals that I set out for myself, I am working towards. And I think also because I've got really clear on what it is that I want. So even for those of you that do property or that have found me from this, is a rent-to-rent Airbnb deal going to make me the same amount as I could get from a brand deal? What's easier? What's worth my time? Do you know what I mean? So what is it that I enjoy more? What am I more passionate about? So I think those things are really, really important. Finances for me was a really big thing as well this year. So I really wanted to kind of understand my finances and my mindset around them. And I think a lot of us, when we go into this businessy wealth or whatnot, I didn't really have any guidance. When I first started out at 21, I didn't have a financial guru or a mentor or anyone like that. What I did have is bad money habits, and that's because it's learned behaviour. So obviously I was flying out here, there, doing this, spending money on whatnot. And I think I kind of decided last year that I'm not buying a single thing designer. So if you ever see me in anything designer, it's a gift. I'm not buying anything designer. I'm not doing all of that stuff, because I wanted to focus on what's more important to me and then kind of build on that. So I'm focusing more on actual wealth mindset. And a part of that is my mindset around debt. So I put on my vision board at the start of last year that I wanted to be debt free. And then when I started to get into the year, I wanted to dig into that a little bit deeper. And it's like, actually, do I want to be debt free? Because if what I'm asking for, but then what I'm saying is two different things. So I'm sat there saying, I want to be this property developer. I want to do this, this, this. That requires you to have a lot of debt on your name. So how am I going to be comfortable with debt if I'm saying to be debt free? They're kind of like not in alignment and they don't really work together. So I think it's more about being comfortable with it, and also the goals that I set for myself, because I always set like really big financial goals, or I can pay off this or I can pay off that. And actually what I found this year, really understanding myself, is that when everything is paid and I have everything scheduled and I kind of have that a little bit more organized, it makes me feel a lot more, what's the word? I think the word is safer. And I think stability, that's the word. And when you feel a lot more stable with your finances, I am able to be a bit more creative. I am able to be a bit more this, that. There have been years which I really struggled financially. But I think now it's like, what can I actually do and what can I cut off? So I went through all my bills, like all my subscriptions that I weren't using, cut them off. Like, it's really good to do that before the new year as well, so that you can focus on what it is that your bills are coming out. I would really advise you to put them out on the first of the month, just because it really helps me. And then also after the first of the month, after like payday, I sit there every month and go through my spreadsheet. I have one for like my monthly bills, my debt. I have a podcast one. I have a business one. Like, anything that you need, really, really organise that. And it will take you about 5 minutes. You don't need anything that's too fancy. I literally just use the main basic template from Excel to organise that. And then the podcast one is in my Notion, which is still just the basic one that they have there. But yeah, setting yourself measurable goals is going to be the biggest thing, so that you can get your desired result. Don't be setting hundreds of goals per one, because it's not really going to happen. 2 to 3 goals is what I would really recommend for you girls. Step 4, this is something that has been really important to me now. So when you do set these big goals, okay, I want to eat healthier, I want to get X amount of followers or subscribers, whatnot. Some people call it different things, but I call it levels, because that's my vocabulary. I'm like, there's levels to this shit, there's levels, whatnot. That's just the vocabulary that I choose to use. But I think it is really big to build those up. So for example, like with my followers, I have a little folder in my phone, which is like social progress. So at the minute, I know from the past year that my followers on social media has been growing by about 50 a month. It's not like, ooh, wow, but still it's 50 a month. So I can kind of plan next year what my goal is, and also what I focus on more. Could I turn that into 100 per month if I focus on whatnot? But also when you do have those, you need to kind of put that in there and celebrate them as well. So for example, like 1,000 subscribers is my main goal. Well, actually, once I got 100, that was like, I'm a tenth of the way there. When I get to 500, it's kind of like, oh, I'm halfway there, 50% there. And set those in your calendar as well, because it's really important to plan that success and really have those little wins, because it really does build momentum. So for example, like even me sharing that we won a Rising Star Award from Spotify this year, it wasn't like oh wow, I've like made it. It wasn't that at all, but it was like, that's a really big achievement because of how small our following is and where we're going and all of that kind of things. And also, it's not just for the viewers, it's for me as well, because it does build momentum. So it's really important that when you do share those things, you're building momentum for yourself. And it's that little dopamine hit. Okay, because I'm carrying out the action, it's actually working. Because you can't just go through the whole year like, oh, 1,000 subscribers, because that's what I used to do before, and it used to make me feel really, really shit. Whereas now it's like, okay, it's going to be 200, then it's going to be 300, then it's going to be 500. But I think that breaking it up, like, oh, I'm 1/10 there, I'm 2/10 there, like 20% there, that kind of thing has really helped me refocus on stuff. And also, like, you can do that in every area of your goals, like relationships, this, that. Like, one thing that I said relationship wise this year, there was no relationships about a man, let me just say that there, but there was stuff on there about like family and friends. So I really put this year that I wanted to meet like a fitness friend. I've completed that, Lara, obviously, who was on the previous podcast. So it was like putting myself out there in these things, like, what do I think about these people? What can I do, kind of. And then also with that, like, end of the year, I've sent out a message to all my like dearest and closest friends, like, what do they think of our friendship? Is there anything that we can do? How is it that friendship works? And one thing that really baffled me about this exercise is that all my friends said really different things, which I wasn't actually expecting. Like, some of them was like, I want to go on more working coffee dates. And then others were like, they want to do fun activities. And others were like, they want to go get dressed up. Like, but some of them, it was like, it was not what I was expecting, but I'm happy to do all of those things. So I think when you focus on those little things, like I'm saying, those levels, and it's like, okay, we're going to organize to meet once every quarter. That's what I'm saying. Be more intentional with it, because before, so for example, like when it was like 2024, I put on my goals list to see my friends more. That's such a general goal. You can't like measure it. You can't do anything like that. But then on 2025, I was like, I want to see one friend per month, like as a bare minimum on top of work and everything else. And I officially did that. Like, I seen one friend per month, and I made time for my family as well, because it's measurable, and I would just alternate the friends. Sometimes I've seen friends more than 1 month, but kind of building those steps and stuff like that is something that I would say. the reason why people don't achieve their goals is because they have the dopamine hit from saying it, which is something that I've already mentioned. When you are saying your goals and you're kind of reaching those levels, it's like if I say, 1,000 subscribers, or oh yeah, I've got this, it's like, okay, cool, because you're envisioning it, it's kind of giving you that I've already done this, I've already got it. And this is why when it comes to goals, although I'm sharing, I'm not going to sit on the podcast and fully share all my goals. And a lot of people are like, oh, evil eye, which I get. But the biggest thing is that if you say your goals out loud to other people, it gives you that extra dopamine hit. So that's why I'm very big on, literally the only people that really know my big goals is like my mum and my two sisters. Apart from that, no one really knows what's what. So yeah, and I also think with that, celebrating the milestones, you deserve to celebrate yourself. Like after the whole Spotify award thing, like me, my mum and my sister, we had a little coffee date. We already had coffee like at a family meeting, but afterwards we had a coffee date. We got like a cute little biscuit thing, and then my sister was also celebrating because she's like 37 weeks. So even though our milestones are different, we still celebrated. But I think it's really important to do that for yourself, because one thing that I didn't do previously is I would just kind of like work. And then in the end, you're like, what the hell am I doing this for? Like, why am I exhausting myself or pushing myself or what? And it's like, when you do kind of celebrate those little things, it really builds. And I think that's also helped in my fitness journey as well. So one of my goals was to obviously complete High Rocks. I wanted to complete High Rocks. I've never run 10K in my life before this year. So it was like, okay, run 2K, then 5K. Then when I got to 8K, I was like, wow, I celebrated. I don't know what I celebrated. I think I went out for a drink, even though that really defeats the whole health thing. I went out for a drink. And then when we did the 10K afterwards, again, defeats the whole thing. Me and Lara actually sat in McDonald's and we just got everything that we wanted because we were like really eating and really whatnot. But it's really important to do that and to celebrate those successes and be proud of yourself. And that's something that I do want to do more for the smaller milestones, because I think something that I struggle with is burnout. And I think the way to avoid burnout is to obviously understand that you're not exhausting yourself as much, but also to celebrate those little wins, because momentum does come. And also when you're doing action and all of that kind of stuff, it builds on it. And the best way to do that, linking into the next step, is obviously checking in with yourself, is your habits. So I don't know if you've read Atomic Habits, or, there is a whole science behind habit theory and stuff like that, which is really, really important. So essentially, when you do your habits, which I might be able to put on the worksheet as well. I might need to do it, but essentially me and one of my friends, Artie, at the beginning of the year, me and Artie sat down and we was like, okay, what are our goals? And we had 5 main goals, which I'm now going to condense to 3 main goals for the year. And we had habits on there. So I think we divided it into like fitness and health. So having supplements is a habit. Drinking X amount of water is a habit. Doing whatnot is a habit. So yeah. Is that one still on? If it goes smaller, is it still on? Yeah. You sure? Okay. So yeah, we sat down and we made like this little template on Notion, and essentially just the fact of me ticking it off with the little green tick or an X built me so much like, oh, I've had such a good day. And I don't know why, whether I'm just one of those organized people or whatnot, but the fact that I was able to tick everything off, like, okay, I've walked 10K steps a day, I've drank my water, I've had my supplements, I've done this. So it's really important to be able to do that. One thing that I would also say that you need, as the biggest thing, is monthly check-ins with yourself. So that's going to be the number one thing, because when you have done these goals, like, I'll be honest with you, I've set goals for myself halfway through the year. I was like, oh my God, I forgot that I even put that. And I think one of them was like solo dates. You guys know that I used to be really big on solo dates. I used to make content about solo dates. Halfway through the year, I don't remember the last time that I went on a solo date. So having that monthly check-in with yourself, you're going to be able to sit down and say, okay, this needs a little bit of area. This will be able to change. So for example, like me saying that I got rid of properties and Airbnbs, you're able to evolve and stuff. But once you have those monthly check-ins with yourself, it's like, actually the goal has changed now halfway through the year, which you're also allowed to do because you're also allowed to evolve. But having those check-ins with yourself, you'll be able to see, okay, this project is here. So for example, like for the Girls Like Me second birthday, I want to have a whole photo shoot and make a really big thing of it this year. And I'm going to put that in the schedule for April. what do I need to do before that? So I've already looked into kind of the studio. I've got a photographer that I want to use. I've kind of been thinking about outfits that I want to use. So all those little things that you can plan in monthly to get you to that end goal. This year, and not this year, this month, I'm going to get some money back from something. So it's like, okay, that's kind of what I'm going to use to plan that. That's what I can, and it's thinking ahead. But without those monthly check-ins with yourself, you're not going to be able to sit down and say, is it measurable? Is it not? Because I think one thing that people need to understand as well is you need to understand how you work. And I have taken a lot of time to get here. I feel like this has been my most productive year ever. Like ever. I've been the most consistent, most productive that I've ever been in my life because I've actually understood what I'm capable of, what I'm good at. And there's also something along with the famous day and the finance day. In my family, my mum has a little calendar on our fridge and she put down rest day, but instead of writing rest, she says resi. So in our family household, we call a resi day just a lazy day. You don't do anything, whatnot. I've actually found those really beneficial for myself, whereas the past few years, I've really beat myself up about like not doing anything, being lazy, whatnot, but actually sat there in my pajamas with my hair in a bun and a face mask on, watching rubbish on the TV really makes me feel good. And then I come in a lot more creative, a lot more focused for the next day, stuff like that. But I used to always not understand that's the way that I worked. Sleep as well has been a really big thing for me because I now get up at 5:30 to go to work. And now the fact that I work even further, gym, all of that kind of stuff, I love having a day where I don't set an alarm and I just sleep in. But previous on my goals, I was like, I don't want to be a girl that sleeps past 10 a.m. because people that sleep past 10 a.m., they're lazy bitches. Okay, perfect. But one day a week, I am actually allowed to do that. And I just feel like mentally, when you don't have an alarm set, it's like the best feeling in the world. But it's taken me to 25 to actually understand that because I have an alarm set every day. I'm waking up in the middle of the night like, oh my God, have I slept past this? Have I done this? So it's like understanding where you are and what you're kind of working, what works well for you. Because personally for me, everyone's like, get up early in the day, start the day. I am so creative at night. I've always been creative at night. You'll always find me on my laptop. Like last night, my mum was like, go to bed. I was on my laptop till about 11 o'clock at night. I just get creative at night. That's why me starting my day, if I do, so obviously you guys know that I work part-time. On my days off, so like Monday and Friday, when I do this kind of stuff, I will start my day a little bit later, if that makes sense, but I'll work until the evening. I prefer to do exercise in the morning. I don't know why. I get a little bit more lazy in the evening doing exercise. So it's all those kind of things that you're going to need to do. But yeah, I'd really advise you to have monthly check-ins with yourself. And that is something that I also stopped doing towards the end of the year. So I'm also guilty of this. But when I have had monthly check-ins because of my reflections, and I was like, okay, which months were most productive for me? So for example, June was a massively productive month for me. I didn't just have monthly check-in. I had a weekly check-in in my calendar in June every single week. So it's like when I am doing this stuff, it's actually working. So what has worked? And I feel like for where I'm going now, there needs to be a whole new level of organisation for me. And people think that I'm organised, but I am, but I'm also not. I'm organised in certain areas and it took me a very long time to get here. Like even my calendar, everyone always asks me like, oh, is this a special app? Is it this? I'm like, no, it's just my Apple Calendar. But it's taken me so much time to actually organise what goes in there. So I've got like routine days in there, family time in there, date night. I've got a special point for girls like me, YouTube. All these different things I've had to add in there, which has been like important to me, but it's taken time to build that. So if you are watching this video, girls, and you're sat there thinking, I haven't got a clue. I don't know. I've never done goal setting before. I've not kind of like figured out how I work well, how I don't. Just make sure that next year is your year to kind of figure that out. There's nothing wrong with having a figuring out year because I feel like my 2024 was a figuring out year. Like I had no goals for that whole year. I made a little vision board halfway through the year, but I had no goals because I just come out of a relationship. I had nowhere to live. Like I was just not in the right place. But now in 2025, I can sit here and say, do you know what? I did complete these things, or this is how I'm best working. And I think it's really important to give yourself grace as well. Because one thing that's happened to me is in the past few months, so from November and December, they have been my worst months in the whole year. But that's because behind the scenes, I've been having a really hard time. There's been a lot of personal things, family things that have been going on. And I'm like, you need to give yourself grace because from the whole of the year, I've done really well. But behind the scenes, there's been a few events that have taken a bit more of an emotional toll on me or whatnot. And I think before I used to really beat myself up, but now I've got the mentality where it's like, I'm actually a human being. I'm allowed to go through weeks where I don't go to the gym or I don't this because it's normal. Do you get what I mean? But because of the reflections and knowing how I work well, I've been able to say, okay, this is my bounce back. This is how I'm going to get back on track. I know I'm most productive when I meal prep, when I go for daily steps, when I do all these kind of things. So it's like doing all of that is really, really going to help. So yeah, just make sure that you are kind of focusing in on all of those things. And if you do follow these 5 steps, girls, I think it will be like really, really big for you. And I think the worksheet that I've done as well is really, really productive. So if you are someone that is stuck, go with the worksheet. It's got a few prompts on there, a few ideas. Obviously, take it by yourself. Like I've mentioned, ChatGPT is a really good tool. If you put in your whole life, don't be afraid of it. It's not a person that's going to judge you. Put in your whole life, your finances, all of those kind of problems, and just go from there. But yeah, girls, I am going to leave this episode there because that is like a lot of information. If you're someone like me with these kind of podcasts, I always have to watch it like twice to kind of take notes and then go back. But yeah, if you have found this episode really helpful, which I'm hoping that you have, and I'm really hoping that you've took something away, please do like, comment and subscribe. Follow us on all the platforms. We've obviously got our Instagram, our TikTok. We are currently on YouTube and Spotify as well. It really does just help us kind of like put better podcasts out there this year and next year. I really do want to get a lot more better guests on. So just all of that love will help us in that way. But yeah, guys, I hope you have the best year ever. And I hope everything starts off well. But yeah, bye, my darlings. Bye.